So Super Heavy Samurai is the other top tier deck that is coming out in Cyberstorm Access that people are looking forward to. Some have gone as far as to say that it is the best deck by a landslide and potentially the next tier 0 deck. And although this statement might have some merit to it, there is also a caveat. So today my goal is to explain as much as I possibly can about this deck, including its pros and cons. Because yeah, there's a lot to cover, both positive and negative. So first things first, what's the concept of this deck and what is it really trying to achieve? Very simple, it is a deck that can play with one single card, and you basically have 12 one-card starters, and with that one-card starter, you can put up some big boards. You have an 85% chance of drawing one of your 12 one-card starters when you're going first and an opening hand of 5 in a deck of 40. You might still be able to play without any of those one-card starters, but your board is going to be less good, and you're also going to be needing more cards. This deck really isn't a Protect the Castle deck like Purely, where you're really trying to turbo out Expurely Noir every single time. You're really trying to make a lot of negates in this deck. So you're typically looking at around 5+ interruptions, including maybe 3 to 4 negate Appaloosa, Baron de Fleur, Theron King Regulus, as well as draw 2 with Infinite Track Tunneler. You might also be able to end on more interruptions if you keep the Champion Sargass on the field and you have like another Xyz monster that can detach material during either player's turn, such as Tornado Dragon. So that way you have Tornado Dragon's pop effect and you also have the bounce or pop effect of Champion Sargass. And the deck can also run Borrowed Savage Dragon for an extra Omni Negate if you really want to. You just really have to worry about resource management because you can run out of gas really fast if you're too aggressive. And this is where Infinite Track Tunneler really helps you out because not only does it recycle back 5 Earth Machines from the graveyard into the deck, it also makes you draw 2 cards, which can be really nice if you dig into hand traps. This deck is notorious for playing a lot of hand traps, and I've even seen some build go as far as playing 17 hand traps in their deck list. This makes Super Heavy Samurai a really good deck going second against any fragile combo deck, but also really good going first against pretty much anyone. Not to mention that this deck can inherently burn you in time with the effect of Ninja Sarutobi, so you really don't want the match to be too long. Fantastic, this deck is powerful, cool story Yak Sign, but how about the negative aspects of this deck? Well, there's a big one. Super Heavy Samurai is allergic to spells and traps. A bunch of the really good effects of the Super Heavy Samurai cards can only really trigger if you have no spells and traps in your grave. For this reason, a lot of people aren't even playing a single spell or trap in their deck because they don't want any conflicting or awkward situations. Now, with that being said, there are some spells and traps that you actually can't play in your deck because you can banish them from the grave in order to yield advantage. CLOCKWORK Knight is a pretty good example because it has a decent effect on the field, and by banishing it from the grave, you can search an Earth Machine from the deck to the hand, so it's basically a one-card starter. And obviously, if you're playing Cyber Dragons in your deck, not only are you a freaking Chad, but also you're going to be able to Contact Fuse for Chimera Tech Forge's Dragon. And although you might not be able to play back removal such as Harpy's Feather Duster, Cosmic Cyclone, Twin Twister, etc., you can still play Archfiend Eccentric to get rid of Floodgates. Not just back row floodgates, but also monster floodgates, because Vanity's Fiend is huge against Super Heavy Samurai. You can have all the hand traps in the world, and it might still not be enough to stop your opponent from going into a Vanity's Fiend, because all they really need is to special summon a monster and then tribute summon Vanity's Fiend. This is where you unfortunately really miss the utility that you get from spells and traps. Hell, you can't even play Imperm, you gotta play Veiler instead. And similarly to Vanity's Fiend, skill drain is a huge problem for this deck. Outside of Archfiend Eccentric, you might have to link for an Access Code Talker and then have to banish the Access Code Talker on the field in order to out the skill drain. Now, if you have an IQ of 20 billion, you can actually do really cool things such as use the effect of Tornado Dragon to destroy the skill drain under skill drain and then Ghost Ogre yourself. You can also do that with a Ninja Sarutobi, so definitely a lot of options, but at the same time, you have to be smart enough to know that Ghost Ogre can do those kind of things. So this deck does reward you for understanding intricate lines of play that I believe the average player might not necessarily be aware of. For example, Drolin Logbird is a card that is really devastating against this deck, and I think most average players would not really know how to counter it, but if you're really experienced with the deck, you might know how to dodge it. I could actually see a world in which players might want to choose to main deck 3 copies of Theron King Regulus because you can actually deny the first search that you get with Soul Piercer and then use the effect of Regulus and then combo after that. What I find interesting about Super Heavy Samurai is that it can technically, theoretically out anything, you just have to make certain concessions. You need to have the right main deck, the right extra deck, the right side deck. It's really complicated. But for each weakness that this deck has, it also has a lot of really positive things that kind of make up for them. I don't know if I'm necessarily willing to say that this deck is the next tier 0, but what I can say for sure is that if you're able to live without spells and traps, the world is your oyster. You can experiment with Infinite Track, Machinas, or Vernalizer, Adamantipator, whatever you want, you name it. You can even play Super Heavy Samurai Runic because the spell cards don't actually stay in the graveyard thanks to Fountain, so you can actually play a lot of spell cards in a deck that is actually allergic to spell cards. One thing that you can also do is treat Super Heavy Samurai as an engine and not as a deck so that you play the bare minimum amount of cards needed for your combo, and then you play whatever other deck you want to play, such as Sprite. Anyways, I'll be making a combo video and deck profile on this deck very soon, so definitely stay tuned for that. But that's pretty much all I had to say for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also let me know your thoughts about this deck in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.